Okay, so you're thinking about this Air Arabia Platinum credit card, right? And you want to know, is this the ticket? Free flights, airport lounges, all that good stuff. We took a deep dive, went through RAKBANK's materials, that key fact statement, and let me tell you, there's a lot to unpack here.
It's really interesting, actually. They hit you with that 15,000 AirRewards points just for signing up. Plus, there's a chance to get another 5,000 in the first 3 months. Sounds amazing, but
There's always a but, right?
right, the key fact statement, that's what they tell you. You got to spend at least AED 5,000 those 3 months. Oh, you still got to pay the joining fee.
So it's not just about switching your daily coffee to this card.
Not quite. I get this. Government services, utilities, those don't count towards that minimum spend.
So those DWA bills won't get you closer to a free flight. But let's say you are using this card a lot. What are these AirRewards points all about anyway?
Okay, so basically you earn these points on almost everything you buy. And guess what? You can use them for Air Arabia flights.
Okay, that's pretty cool. And it's not just the flights, is it? I heard something about airport lounges, other travel perks too.
You heard right. Picture this. You're at the airport, about to jet off on vacation. But instead of fighting for a chair at the gate, you're chilling in a lounge. Snacks, Wi-Fi, the whole works. This card can make that happen. Plus, you get travel insurance, always a good thing, and a bunch of discounts and offers.
Okay, this is starting to sound pretty sweet, but I know there has to be a catch somewhere. What's the fine print hiding?
Well, for starters, they talk about waiving the annual fee after the first year. But you only get that if you spent at least AED 20,000 on the card in the previous year. And surprise, surprise, government services and utilities don't count towards that either.
Sounds like they really want you to use this card for everything. But let's zoom in on those Air Awards. Anything tricky in the details there?
At first glance, the earning rate seems simple, certain points per dirham spent. But then you dig a little deeper, and bam, certain categories earn way fewer points.
Like what? Give me an example. What'll keep me stuck in economy class?
Think charities, government stuff again, bills paid outside their system, even education, transportation, fuel. Like, they want you to fly, but maybe not get too far.
That's weird. So I'm guessing you really need to strategize to maximize those points for flights. What about actually using the points, though? Any catches there?
Of course, there are always some minimum redemption amounts. You got to save up a decent amount before cashing in for a flight or an upgrade. And here's the kicker. Those points expire after 24 months. Use them or lose them, right?
Ah, the classic points expiration. It's like a race against time to book that dream trip. So you earn points on most things, some categories less than others, and gotta watch out for those expiration dates. Got it. Anything else about Air Rewards we should know?
One more thing, they have a whole list of transactions that don't earn any points at all. Things like art money transfer, cash advances, balance transfers. Basically, anytime you're moving money around. Oh, and those credit card checks they offer. No points for those either.
Okay, we're talking about points, but points don't always mean free, right? What about those fees and charges?
All right, yeah. Credit cards and costs, it's like a package deal.
Yep.
This one's no different. The annual fee, for instance, that's AED 420.
Which, I mean, isn't crazy for a card like this, but definitely something to keep in mind. And what happens if, life happens and you miss a payment?
That's when they get you. Late payment fee, AED 242, every time you miss a deadline.
Yeah.
So yeah, staying organized is key here.
Ouch, that's a chunk of change. Better set some reminders.
Speaking of extra costs, what about cash advances? Those are always a bit iffy with credit cards, aren't they?
Yeah, generally not a great idea. This card's no exception.
But say you're really in a bind, need cash fast, what then? You can get a cash advance, but be ready to pay it up. They'll slap a 3.15% fee on whatever you take out, or AED 105, whichever's more. Plus, they limit you to 80% of your credit limit.
So convenient, maybe, but at a cost. Probably best to have a backup plan for cash emergencies. Okay, another thing people do, balance transfers, trying to get those interest rates down, consolidate things a bit.
True, true. You can actually transfer up to 95% of your available balance to this card. But, and there's always a but, right? There might be fees for that. Best to double check with RAKBANK directly, get the latest on those fees.
Good point. Better safe than sorry. Now, this key fact statement, it mentions potential fees from correspondent banks or financial institutions. Sounds tad ominous, doesn't it? What's that all about?
Ah, yes, buried in the fine print. Basically, if you're using the card internationally, especially with a different currency, those foreign banks can sneak in their own charges.
So international spending, watch out for those hidden fees. Speaking of things to watch out for, any other risks, limitations we haven't touched on yet?
We've covered a lot, but don't forget about your credit limit. That's the ceiling on your spending before those lovely fees kick in. They do give you a little buffer, 5% over your limit, just to process transactions. But still, easy to get carried away.
Easy to overspend when you're caught up in those points and perks. So before we get too excited about free flights, let's talk about who this card's really for.
Right, it's not for everyone. Key fact statement lays out the rules. Got to be 21 or older. Pretty standard for credit cards here.
Makes sense. They're looking for adults, not students. What about income? How much do you need to be making?
That's where they split things up a bit. Salaried folks versus self-employed. If you're on a regular payroll, got to be making at least AED 5,000 a month.
Okay, so doable for many, but not exactly entry level. What about the entrepreneurs out there?
Self-employed life. Got to prove yourself a bit more. RAKBANK looks at your average account balance over 3 months. Needs to be AED 50,000 minimum.
Wow, that's quite a jump. They're serious about financial stability. Anything else for the self-employed crowd?
One more thing, actually. They want to see a minimum quarterly credit turnover of AED 150,000. So not just having the money, but actively using and managing credit.
So really, this card is for those who are already financially comfortable. Not just about having a flashy card, it's about having the means to back it up. Anything else people should know about applying?
Oh, almost forgot. Security check. Got to provide one for the full amount of your credit limit. Standard practice, a way for the bank to manage their risk.
Right, a little security blanket for the bank. So let's say you tick all the boxes, get approved, that shiny new card arrives. What are the big responsibilities then? Besides not booking a flight immediately, of course.
Well, honesty is key. When you're disclosing your income, be truthful. Don't inflate those numbers to try to get a higher limit. They will check, and that can come back to bite you.
Honesty, always the best policy, especially with finances. What else?
Valid ID, always. You'll need it throughout the whole process, from applying to any future interactions. Keep those Emirates ID and passport up to date.
Basics, but crucial. Anything else?
This one seems obvious, but you'd be surprised. Pay your bills on time. We talked about those late fees, but consistently missing payments can really hurt your credit score. That impacts getting loans, renting, even new credit cards down the line.
So stay organized, be responsible. Don't let those dream trips turn into financial stress. Okay, last scenario here. Someone gets excited, applies, then gets cold feet. Can they back out?
Yep. There's a cooling off period, 5 business days from when you sign the application. During that time, you can cancel. No penalties. Think of it like a trial run for your finances.
That's good to know. What if they miss that window, though? Reality sets in a little late.
Well, then you're bound by the terms you signed up for. Key fact statement mentions possible fees for canceling after that period. Best to make up your mind within those 5 days.
So choose wisely and choose quickly. We've covered a lot here. Perks, pitfalls, fees, that tiny fine print, even who this card's right for. But we're not done yet, are we? There's one last piece of this puzzle. So we've gone through it all, the good, the bad, the really tiny print of this AirRewards Platinum credit card. What's the final word then? Should our listeners be adding this to their wallets?
That's the question, isn't it? The thing is, there's no one right answer. It really comes down to you, how you spend, how often you fly, how you handle your money in general.
It's like, we've given you the map, now you got to choose your own adventure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine, you're a frequent AirRewards flyer, you know, those bonus categories inside and out, and paying your balance on time is a given. This card could be a game changer. Free flights, lounge access, travel insurance, all those perks add up.
But if you're someone who rarely flies Air Arabia or maybe carries a balance on their credit card, those perks might not be worth the potential cost.
Exactly. Those high interest rates can really sneak up on you, and those points might start feeling more like a fantasy than anything else.
Okay, so bottom line, what's the one thing our listeners should take away from all of this?
Do your research. We've dug deep here, but the final decision is always yours. Take a good look at your own finances, your spending habits, what you want to get out of this. Crunch the numbers, see what makes sense for your situation.
Don't get blinded by the shiny perks. Right. Be realistic about your own habits and make a choice that works for you, not the credit card company.
And hey, no shame in walking away if it's not a good fit. Plenty of other credit cards out there.
Couldn't have said it better. So there you have it, the AirRewards Platinum credit card. Potential benefits are there, but gotta be smart, gotta be aware.
Safe travels, everyone, and may all your financial decisions be good ones.
And until next time, keep on diving deep.